When it comes to relationships, there's a hidden language we all speak, one that goes beyond words, beyond gestures, beyond what you see on the surface. It's about the way people act when they truly care about someone. It's about what they do when they feel something deep, something genuine, something real. If a man changes something in front of you, he likes you, it's not about the big flashy gestures that people often expect. It's not always the grand romantic sweep that Hollywood would have us believe. It's about the small, subtle changes he's willing to make because of his care for you. You see, people don't change unless they have a reason. The change reflects growth, a commitment to something greater than themselves. A man who opens up, who adapts, who adjusts his habits, his mannerisms, or his ways of being, these are signs. They're not just random. They show that there's something inside him, something you've awakened. It's about how much a person is willing to stretch themselves for someone they care about. It's a sign of respect, of trust, and ultimately of love. So when he changes in front of you, don't just take it for granted. Recognize it. It's a small act of vulnerability. It's his way of showing you that he values your presence, that he values what you bring into his life, and that he's willing to grow to match what he sees in you. Now, let's look at some of the key signs, the little shifts that show you he's not just interested, but truly likes you. Change is the product of growth. Growth doesn't come without change, and change doesn't happen unless there's a reason for it. You see, when people start to grow, they begin to do things differently. They act differently. They think differently. And even their priorities start to shift. Growth demands that you step out of your comfort zone. And stepping out of your comfort zone means things will change. Now, why do we change? We change because something or someone has ignited a spark inside of us. It could be a desire to improve, to be better, or to achieve something greater than we ever thought possible. We don't change for the sake of change. We change because there's a vision in front of us, something that drives us to leave behind what's familiar and comfortable for the unknown. In relationships, this kind of change is powerful. When a man starts to change in front of you, it's not just a random act. It's an indication that something has touched him deeply, something that makes him want to evolve. It's the realization that his life, his behavior, and his patterns are no longer in alignment with what he truly values. And when that happens, growth takes place. But growth isn't always easy. It's not about instant transformation. It's about the commitment to improve and the willingness to adapt. The small steps forward, the new habits, the adjustments in his thinking, they're all signs that he's evolving into the person he wants to be, a person who values what's in front of him. If you notice these changes, understand that they're not superficial. Real growth is about making internal shifts that manifest in outward actions. It's a deep-rooted desire to create a better version of oneself. And those changes, they don't happen overnight. They happen over time as a result of conscious effort and the willingness to learn from one's mistakes and successes alike. When a man changes because of the connection he feels with you, it's a reflection of the positive impact you have on his life. And here's the thing about change, it's never about perfection. It's about progress. Growth isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are. So when change begins to show up, don't dismiss it. Recognize it for what it is, an investment in personal development, an investment that reflects the value someone places on the relationship and their commitment to be the best they can be for both themselves and the people they care about. Actions speak louder than words. We've all heard it, but how often do we truly take it to heart? In life, it's easy to say things, to make promises, to declare intentions. But words, no matter how eloquent or convincing, can only carry so much weight. It's the actions that follow those words that reveal the truth of our character, our desires, and our commitment. You see, anyone can say they want to achieve something. Anyone can claim they're going to make a change, but without action, those words are just empty promises. It's what you do, not what you say, that defines who you are and what you stand for. If you talk about the importance of health but never hit the gym, if you speak of success but don't take the necessary steps to pursue it, then your words have no power. They're hollow, devoid of substance. This principle applies in every area of life, especially in relationships. People can tell you they care about you, but it's how they show up for you that proves the depth of their feelings. It's easy to say, I love you, but do the actions match those words? Do they take the time to support you, listen to you, and grow with you? Actions are the true measure of one's commitment. The reality is, actions are consistent. Words can be fleeting, influenced by mood, circumstance, or convenience. But actions reflect a deeper level of conviction. When someone truly cares, they don't just talk about it, they show up. They demonstrate their intentions with every decision they make, every effort they put forth, every time they step outside of their comfort zone to make things better. Consider the person who says they want to improve their life, but every day they procrastinate, make excuses, and avoid doing the hard work. Their words are nice, but their actions tell a different story. The person who says they want to make a difference in the world, but never takes the first step to volunteer, to lead, or to impact others, is someone whose actions speak volumes about their true desires. In relationships, a person who truly values you will show that value through their actions. They'll put in the effort to be there when you need them, to support your growth, to respect your boundaries, and to nurture the connection. They will change, adjust, and make sacrifices, not because they have to, but because they want to. These are the actions that reveal a person's true feelings and intentions. In the end, the most meaningful and lasting relationships are built on the foundation of action, not just words. So when you see someone making the effort, when you see their commitment in the things they do, remember that's where the real value lies. The actions always speak louder. They tell you who someone really is, what they truly want, and how much they are willing to invest in what matters most. Vulnerability is a sign of confidence. Now that might sound counterintuitive to some, because we often associate vulnerability with weakness. We've been conditioned to believe that showing vulnerability is a sign of insecurity, or that it makes us susceptible to harm. But the truth is, true vulnerability is one of the greatest demonstrations of strength you can have. You see, it takes real confidence to expose yourself, to let your guard down, and to reveal your authentic self without fear of judgment. It takes a level of self-assurance to stand in your truth, to admit when you're wrong, to acknowledge your weaknesses, and to ask for help when you need it. In a world that celebrates perfection, vulnerability challenges the status quo. It shows that you're not afraid to be real, to be human. When someone is vulnerable, they're not hiding behind a facade, pretending to be something they're not. They're not trying to impress anyone with their accomplishments, their status, or their material possessions. Instead, they are comfortable enough in their own skin to say, "Here I am, flaws and all." It's this kind of self-acceptance, this ability to be unapologetically you, that reveals true confidence. Most people spend so much energy trying to protect themselves from the world, building walls, creating false fronts, and pretending they have it all together. They're afraid that if they show too much of themselves, they'll be exposed or judged. But the person who embraces vulnerability, who doesn't shy away from sharing their struggles, their fears, or their dreams, is the person who stands firm in their confidence. They don't need validation from others because they already validate themselves. In relationships, vulnerability can be a powerful force. It's not about being weak. It's about being strong enough to trust others with your heart, your emotions, and your deepest thoughts. When you allow someone to see the parts of you that are imperfect or unpolished, you're not only deepening the connection, but also showing them that you trust them enough to be real. You're not afraid to show your humanity, and that's a sign of immense strength. It takes confidence to show up in life and say, "I may not have all the answers, but I'm still here, still moving forward, still growing." Vulnerability isn't about being fragile. It's about being authentic, about letting go of the need to control how others perceive you. It's the willingness to let people see you as you truly are, to be open about your journey, and to accept that you're perfectly fine in your imperfection. In that acceptance, you find power. In that strength, you find confidence. So remember, the next time you're faced with the opportunity to be vulnerable, don't shy away from it. Embrace it. It's the courageous person who allows themselves to be vulnerable, who will ultimately achieve the greatest success. Because they understand that real confidence doesn't come from pretending to be invincible. It comes from the freedom to be vulnerable and still stand strong. Real commitment starts with small steps. It's easy to think that commitment is about making a grand gesture, taking a big leap, or doing something monumental. We tend to romanticize the idea of commitment as a big defining moment. But the reality is the most significant commitments are built on the smallest actions, taken consistently over time. It's the everyday decisions, the quiet moments of determination, the small steps that, when added up, lead to massive results. You don't wake up one day and decide to be successful. Success is not an event, it's a process. It starts with deciding to take one small action. Maybe it's setting the alarm a little earlier, making a phone call you've been avoiding, or writing down a goal. These aren't grand actions, but they're the seeds from which everything else grows. The true test of commitment is not how big your dream is, but how much you're willing to invest in it on a daily basis. Think about the person who says they're committed to getting healthy. They don't immediately run a marathon, and they don't start off eating perfectly. They start with simple steps. Perhaps it's taking a walk after work or choosing a healthier meal option. These small, seemingly insignificant actions are what build the foundation for a lasting commitment. If they stick with these small steps over time, they'll find themselves on the path to better health. But it all starts with the willingness to take that first step. Commitment is like planting a tree. You don't plant a seed and expect it to grow into a full-grown tree overnight. You water it, you care for it, and you nurture it every single day. Over time, that seed grows into something strong, something sturdy, something that can withstand the storms. But it all begins with that initial small act of planting the seed. It's the consistency, not the size of the action, that ultimately matters. In any area of life, from relationships to career goals, real commitment is about showing up every day. It's about doing the small things, even when no one is watching. It's easy to commit when everything is going well, when the path is clear and the road is smooth. But commitment is really tested when things aren't easy, when obstacles arise, when the work gets tough. That's when those small steps matter the most. They're what will keep you moving forward. When the initial excitement fades and when the challenges start to pile up, you'll find that the greatest accomplishments come from the accumulation of many small, consistent actions. The person who reaches their goals is not the one who makes one huge move, but the one who continues to show up day in and day out, taking small steps in the right direction. That's where the real commitment lies. So when you're thinking about making a big commitment, don't be intimidated by the enormity of the task. Don't let the size of the goal overwhelm you. Instead, focus on the small steps. Take one step today, then another tomorrow, and another the day after that. Before you know it, those small steps will have built a path to success, and the big commitment will have become a reality. The journey of 1,000 miles doesn't begin with a giant leap. It begins with a single intentional step, and that's where real commitment starts. He's showing up as his best self. When someone makes the effort to show up as their best self, they're doing more than just fulfilling a role or meeting an obligation. They're bringing their full potential to the table. They're choosing to bring all their strengths, their talents, and their energy into the moment, regardless of the circumstances. This is the difference between simply going through the motions and truly engaging with life. We all have a choice each day. We can either show up as the person we've always been, comfortable in our habits and routines, or we can show up as the person we're becoming. The best version of ourselves isn't some destination that we arrive at overnight. It's a daily choice, a conscious decision to put in the effort to be better than we were yesterday. Showing up as your best self isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking the skills and experiences you've gained and applying them in the real world. It's about taking responsibility for your actions, making intentional decisions, and being consistent in how you approach life. The person who shows up as their best self is the one who's actively working on becoming the person they want to be, even if they're not there yet. When someone is genuinely committed to showing up as their best self, they understand that the world is watching, not necessarily with judgment, but with curiosity. People notice when someone gives their best effort. They notice when someone brings their energy, their enthusiasm, and their dedication to everything they do. And this doesn't just apply to the big moments. It applies to every single action, every small decision, from the way you speak to the way you work, from the way you treat others to the way you manage your time. Each moment is an opportunity to show up as the best version of yourself. It's easy to coast when things are going well, when the circumstances are favorable. But real character is built in the tough moments. When everything feels uncertain, when the obstacles seem overwhelming, that's when showing up as your best self matters the most. It's about rising to the occasion, doing what needs to be done, and giving your best effort even when no one is watching. It's the quiet strength that says, I am committed to my own growth and I will continue to push forward no matter what. And when you make a habit of showing up as your best self, you're not only improving your own life, you're also influencing those around you. People are drawn to that energy. They're inspired by it. They see your commitment and your effort and they begin to ask themselves, what can I do to be better? Your example becomes a catalyst for others to step into their own potential, to show up as their best selves too. So if you want to make a real difference in your life and the lives of those around you, it starts with showing up. It starts with bringing your best day in and day out. The world won't always make it easy, and you won't always feel ready, but when you make the choice to show up as your best self, you'll find that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. And in doing so, you'll create a ripple effect that not only transforms your life, but inspires those around you to do the same. Consistency in change shows sincerity. It's one thing to say that you want to change, to declare that you're going to be different, but it's another thing entirely to follow through and make that change stick. Real change doesn't happen overnight. It's built on a foundation of steady, consistent actions that prove the change is authentic. When someone makes a promise to change but doesn't back it up with sustained effort, those words ring hollow. But when change is consistent, when it's shown through repeated actions over time, it becomes clear that it's not just a fleeting desire or a temporary fix, it's a true transformation. The key to understanding this is that change, to be meaningful, must be intentional and persistent. It's easy to make grand declarations, to talk about how things will be different from now on. Everyone can talk a good game, but what separates those who are truly sincere in their desire for change from those who are simply going through the motions is consistency. It's the ability to keep showing up, even when the initial excitement fades. It's the daily decisions, the little moments of effort that when compounded over time, reveal the true depth of your commitment. Think about it, when you're genuinely committed to a change, whether it's in your habits, your mindset, or your relationships, you don't quit after the first setback. You don't give up when the going gets tough. You don't retreat back to your old ways, simply because it's easier. Instead, you keep pushing forward. You keep making adjustments. You keep making the effort, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's what shows sincerity. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. When someone says they're going to improve, whether it's to become more disciplined, more kind, more productive, or more consistent in their work, that change has to be backed up with action. And that action has to be repeated day after day. If you only make a change when it's convenient, or only when you feel motivated, then your change is not consistent, it's reactive. But when change becomes part of who you are, when you're showing up as a different person every day through your actions, no matter the circumstances, then that change is not just sincere, it's genuine. This consistency shows others that you're serious. People notice when someone is truly changing because they see it in the little things, the way you talk, the way you handle adversity, the way you show up in your work or your relationships. The sincerity of your commitment is evident not in one big moment, but in the small quiet decisions you make day in and day out. That's what builds trust, that's what builds credibility. That's what shows others that you are someone who can be relied on to follow through. Now, change is not without its challenges. It's easy to start strong, but the true test of sincerity comes when the excitement fades, when the initial enthusiasm wears off. The people who show their sincerity in change are the ones who keep at it, even when things get tough, even when they fail, even when they feel discouraged. It's easy to change for a day, a week, or even a month. But the person who is genuinely committed to change, who shows up every single day, is the one who builds the kind of lasting transformation that others can see and feel. Consistency also builds confidence, both in yourself and in others. When you show up consistently, when you prove that your change is not just a passing phase, you begin to believe in your own ability to succeed. You prove to yourself that you're capable of creating the life you want, of becoming the person you've always known you could be, and as that confidence grows, so does your sense of purpose. You're no longer at the mercy of your moods, your circumstances, or your temporary feelings. You are in control because you've demonstrated through your actions that you can create lasting change, no matter what life throws at you. Ultimately, consistency in change is the true mark of sincerity. It shows that you are not just saying the right things but living them out. It shows that your desire for growth, for improvement, for better relationships, or for success is not just a passing whim, it's a deep-rooted commitment. And when you consistently demonstrate your willingness to change, to grow, and to become better, that sincerity not only transforms your life, but inspires those around you. They'll see your persistence, your dedication, and your ability to keep moving forward, and they'll be inspired to do the same. Real connection requires personal evolution. Too often we think of connection as something that just happens, something that's instantaneous, as if it's a one-time event or a magical moment of alignment. But the truth is, true meaningful connection requires something deeper. It demands personal evolution. It's not enough to simply meet someone and expect that everything will click. Real connection requires that both parties are evolving, growing, and continuously working on becoming better versions of themselves. To connect deeply with someone, you have to first be willing to grow. Think about it. If you stay in the same place, stuck in the same patterns, locked in the same mindset, how can you truly connect with anyone? Personal growth isn't just about acquiring new skills or making more money. It's about expanding your capacity for understanding, empathy, and self-awareness. It's about becoming a better version of yourself, someone who's more capable of supporting others, someone who can offer more to a relationship, whether personal or professional. You have to evolve not just for the sake of growth, but for the sake of the relationships you want to cultivate. When you evolve, you become more attuned to what others need. You're able to listen without judgment, to offer support without hesitation, and to communicate without fear of being misunderstood. Personal evolution broadens your perspective, allowing you to understand people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, and different experiences. The more you grow, the more capable you are of forming deeper, more authentic connections because you start to see the world not just through your own lens, but through a broader, more inclusive one. It's easy to get comfortable in relationships, to rely on the same old dynamics, the same old conversations, and the same old behaviors. But real lasting connection comes from the willingness to grow together. Relationships that evolve are the ones where both people are actively working on becoming better, individually and as a pair. It's about challenging each other, encouraging each other, and pushing each other to step outside of comfort zones. These are the relationships that stand the test of time, not because they're perfect, but because both people are committed to evolving, both personally and as a team. Think about the person who's committed to becoming a better leader, a better partner, a better friend, or a better parent. That person knows that the work of personal growth doesn't stop after a few steps forward. It's ongoing. It's a continual process of learning, unlearning, and relearning. And with every step, they become more capable of creating and maintaining deep connections. They become better listeners, more patient, more empathetic, and more capable of offering support when it's needed. A lack of personal evolution in relationships leads to stagnation. It's like a garden where no one waters the plants or tends to the soil. Over time, that garden will stop growing. The same is true for relationships. If you stop growing personally, you stop growing together. The connection becomes shallow, based on old patterns, and it eventually fades away. Real connection requires both people to be actively engaged in their own evolution, working on themselves and the relationship. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it means you have to be committed to improvement. And here's the thing about evolution, it doesn't just happen by accident. It's a choice. It requires intentionality. It requires you to step outside of your comfort zone, to challenge your own beliefs, to embrace change, and to take responsibility for your own growth. When you do this, when you choose to evolve, you're not only transforming yourself, but you're also laying the groundwork for deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Personal evolution is also about self-awareness. The more you understand yourself, your desires, your triggers, and your emotions, the better equipped you are to connect with others on a deep level. It's about understanding how your actions impact those around you, how your words can either build bridges or burn them, and how your behavior shapes the relationships you have. Without this kind of awareness, it's impossible to truly connect because you're always operating from a limited perspective. True connection doesn't just happen, it's built over time. It's a process of growth, change, and evolution. And the more you evolve as an individual, the more capable you are of forming authentic, meaningful connections with others. This applies to every type of relationship, whether personal, professional, or casual. To truly connect with another human being, you have to be willing to evolve yourself. It's about learning, growing, and becoming the kind of person who attracts and nurtures deep, lasting relationships. Ultimately, real connection is a reflection of personal evolution. The more you invest in becoming the best version of yourself, the more you create space for others to do the same. And in that shared space of growth, deep, meaningful connections can flourish. Real connection requires personal evolution. Many people seek connection in their lives, whether it's with a spouse, a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger. But what they often fail to recognize is that a deep, meaningful connection doesn't just happen because you share a common interest or a similar situation. It's not about being in the same place at the same time or being superficially aligned. Real connection is born from the continual evolution of each individual involved. If you want to form lasting, genuine connections with others, you first have to be committed to evolving as a person. Change is inevitable, but evolution, the kind that leads to growth and deeper connection, is a conscious choice. It's about striving to become a better version of yourself every day, continually refining your character, your behavior, and your mindset. When you evolve, you make yourself more capable of understanding and relating to others. Without this evolution, the connection you seek will remain superficial, rooted in old habits, misunderstandings, and limited perspectives. When you evolve, you expand your capacity for empathy. You begin to understand other people's struggles, perspectives, and emotions because you've learned to navigate your own. You've experienced your own growth, so you can appreciate the growth and development in others. You no longer see people through the lens of judgment or assumption. Instead, you begin to meet them where they are, recognizing that we all have our own unique journey and challenges. This kind of empathy is what allows for real connection. It's what turns a conversation into a meaningful exchange, a meeting into a partnership, and a simple interaction into something profound. In relationships, personal evolution is what turns a fleeting encounter into a lasting bond. You see, if both people involved are stuck in their old patterns, their old ways of thinking, and their old behaviors, the relationship will never grow. It will be based on the same assumptions, the same misunderstandings, and the same limitations. But when both people are dedicated to evolving, both personally and together, then the relationship becomes something far more dynamic. It becomes a partnership of growth, where both individuals support and challenge each other to be better versions of themselves. This is where true connection thrives. It's no longer just about sharing a moment, it's about sharing the journey of growth together. However, personal evolution requires effort. It's not something that happens on its own. You don't wake up one day and find that you've magically evolved into the person you want to be. It's a process. It's about making conscious decisions to improve, to stretch beyond your comfort zones, to learn from your mistakes, and to adapt when necessary. Real connection requires this same level of effort. If you're not evolving, if you're not making an effort to improve who you are, then you'll find yourself stagnant in your relationships, stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. That's why people often feel disconnected from others. It's not because they aren't surrounded by people, but because they are not evolving in a way that allows them to connect on a deeper level. Think of it like a muscle. If you want to grow stronger, you have to consistently challenge and work that muscle. If you don't, it becomes weak, underdeveloped, and eventually stops functioning at its full potential. Relationships too require this kind of attention and effort. If you're not committed to evolving, if you're not putting in the work to be a better person, partner, friend, or colleague, the connection will never reach its full potential. It will remain at the surface level, based on convenience and circumstance, not on true understanding and mutual growth. And here's the thing: evolution isn't about changing who you are at your core, it's about refining yourself. About shedding the layers of old habits, limited beliefs, and unhealthy patterns that prevent you from being your best self. It's about learning how to communicate better, how to manage your emotions, how to support others without expectation, and how to build bridges instead of walls. When you evolve, you break free from the chains of your past and become the person who can truly connect with others, not because you share similarities, but because you've worked to understand, accept, and elevate yourself. This evolution is also about understanding that connection is a two-way street. It's not just about you growing and evolving, it's about being open to the growth of others. When you evolve, you become more open-minded, more accepting, and more willing to let others be who they are, even if they're on a different journey or at a different stage of their evolution. True connection happens when both people can evolve together, supporting each other's growth and embracing the challenges that come with it. Ultimately, real connection is about creating a space where both individuals can evolve together. It's about being willing to face the discomfort of change, to look at yourself honestly, and to recognize that in order to form deep, meaningful relationships, you must first be committed to your own personal growth. You have to be willing to let go of outdated patterns, to evolve beyond your limitations, and to meet others with a heart that's open to growth. Only then can you experience the kind of connection that is truly transformative, the kind that not only lasts but also elevates both people to new heights. True connection isn't found in shared interests alone, it's found in shared growth. So if you want to build deeper, more meaningful connections with others, start by looking inward. Focus on your own evolution, challenge yourself, grow, and become the best version of who you can be. In doing so, you'll find that the connections you build will be richer, more authentic, and more powerful than you ever imagined.